Library volunteer speaks 8 languages, former military intelligence. Excuse me, do you speak Mandarin? Asked confused exchange student Wei Chen when he couldn't find the computer science textbooks he needed, but before the librarian could respond, volunteer assistant Elena Vasquez was already helping him in fluent Mandarin, then switched to perfect Russian to assist another student, followed by flawless Arabic for a third patron, displaying linguistic abilities that seemed impossible for someone whose job involved shelving books and helping with basic library tasks. What the students and library staff didn't know was that their volunteer assistant had spent 15 years as a military intelligence linguist, trained to conduct interrogations and intelligence gathering in 8 different languages for some of the Army's most sensitive operations. Elena Vasquez, 38 years old, had been volunteering at Metropolitan University Library for 2 years and 9 months, maintaining the same methodical attention to information organization and cultural sensitivity that had characterized her 15-year career as a U.S. Army military intelligence linguist conducting language-based intelligence operations in some of the world's most complex geopolitical environments. Every afternoon at 2 p.m., she arrived wearing casual volunteer attire, carrying library materials and student assistance protocols that she managed with intelligence-level thoroughness developed during years of classified information handling. The library staff and regular students knew Elena as the volunteer who seemed to communicate with everyone regardless of their native language, who somehow managed every aspect of international student assistance while maintaining perfect cultural awareness and language proficiency that impressed faculty with its accuracy and diplomatic sensitivity. She had increased international student library usage by 340% and earned recognition from both university administration and the International Student Services Office for exceptional cross-cultural communication and academic support. What people didn't notice was Elena's automatic linguistic assessment as she worked throughout the library, the way she positioned herself to overhear conversations in multiple languages and identify students needing assistance, the way she organized her volunteer duties with intelligence-level precision that went beyond typical library volunteer requirements. Her approach to student assistance was comprehensive and systematically sophisticated in ways that suggested training beyond normal academic or library education. Elena had chosen library volunteering specifically because it allowed her to use linguistic and cultural skills to help international students in peaceful, educational contexts. After 15 years of military intelligence work that had required her to conduct interrogations and intelligence gathering in conditions where language mistakes could compromise national security operations. Her military career had begun in 2006 when she enlisted immediately after completing her linguistics degree with specialization in Eastern European and Middle Eastern languages, initially planning to work as a translator or cultural liaison in standard military roles. But when she scored exceptionally high on language aptitude and psychological evaluations, Army recruiters had suggested she consider military intelligence training, one of the military's most demanding specialties that combined advanced linguistics with interrogation techniques and intelligence analysis. Military intelligence linguist training was among the most classified programs the military offered. Nearly 4 years of intensive instruction that included everything from advanced language immersion to interrogation psychology, cultural analysis, and intelligence gathering techniques designed for extracting information from hostile sources in multiple languages. Elena had been one of only 3 candidates to complete training in all 8 target languages successfully, and one of even fewer to serve operational assignments in high-priority intelligence regions. Elena's assignments had included intelligence operations in Iraq, Afghanistan, Eastern Europe, and classified locations, where she had conducted interrogations, translated intercepted communications, and gathered human intelligence during prisoner interviews, informant meetings, and covert intelligence operations that required perfect language skills and cultural understanding. She had earned recognition for intelligence excellence and linguistic accuracy that had contributed to more than 500 successful intelligence gathering operations. Over multiple combat deployments, Elena had participated in intelligence operations that included everything from routine translation work to complex interrogation sessions, processing information in conditions that range from secure intelligence facilities to forward operating bases in active combat zones. But the psychological pressure of years spent conducting interrogations, always knowing that language errors could result in missed intelligence or operational failures, had eventually become overwhelming. When Elena completed her military service, she had been offered positions with intelligence agencies, government contractors, and international organizations that would have used her linguistic expertise in intelligence or diplomatic roles. But after years of high-stress intelligence work, Elena had chosen library volunteering because it allowed her to use language skills to help students rather than extract information for military intelligence purposes. Metropolitan University served approximately 45,000 students from 127 countries, including international students, exchange scholars, and immigrant families who required academic support and cultural assistance for successful university education. Elena's volunteer responsibilities included all aspects of international student library assistance, with particular attention to language barriers and cross-cultural academic communication. During her 2 years at Metropolitan University Library, Elena had developed comprehensive knowledge of international student needs, academic resources, and cultural adaptation that impressed both library administration and university international services with its accuracy and practical effectiveness for student success. "Elena," said Library Director Dr. Sarah Martinez during one of their regular volunteer coordination meetings, "your work with international students and language assistants is exceptional. You seem to communicate fluently with students from every country and help them navigate academic resources with cultural sensitivity that goes beyond typical volunteer capabilities." Dr. Martinez, "Student success is important to me. When international students choose our university for their education, they should feel welcomed and supported regardless of their native language or cultural background." What Dr. Martinez didn't realize was that Elena's approach to student assistance was based on intelligence principles she had learned from military intelligence operations, systematic cultural analysis, linguistic accuracy, and communication techniques that had been developed for much more sensitive and complex intelligence situations. The afternoon when Elena's background was revealed began with a campus security incident that tested every aspect of her military intelligence training. A foreign exchange student named Dmitri Petrov had been detained by campus police on suspicion of terrorist threats after a misunderstood conversation in Russian had been reported by concerned students. Dmitri's detention occurred at 4:15 p.m. during peak library activity, with the international student facing serious criminal charges based on mistranslated communications that could result in deportation and permanent academic exclusion. The situation required immediate linguistic intervention to prevent a misunderstanding from destroying an innocent student's educational future. Elena was helping students with research materials when campus security approached her about the language incident. Her military intelligence training immediately activated. She assessed the communication breakdown, identified the cultural and linguistic factors involved, and began implementing translation procedures that she had hoped never to use for civilian law enforcement situations. Elena's response to Dmitri's detention was systematic and professional, based on techniques she had learned for intelligence analysis and interrogation assessment during high-stakes military intelligence operations. She analyzed the original Russian conversation, identified the translation errors that had caused the misunderstanding, and began providing accurate linguistic interpretation that would prove essential for resolving the incident. "Officers, this is a cultural miscommunication," Elena said calmly as she reviewed the reported conversation. Dmitri was discussing his computer science thesis project about network security testing. The words attack and penetration in Russian technical context refer to cybersecurity research, not terrorist activities. Elena's linguistic analysis was flawless. She had correctly identified the technical terminology that had been mistranslated, provided accurate cultural context for the conversation, and delivered interpretation with precision that immediately clarified the misunderstanding for campus security. "Vasquez, how do you know Russian technical terminology so precisely?" asked Campus Security Chief Robert Chin as he reviewed Elena's translation. "Your interpretation completely changes the meaning of the reported conversation." "Chief Chin, I have experience with multiple languages and cross-cultural communication. Technical terminology often has different meanings depending on cultural and professional context. But the law enforcement team working with Elena recognized that her linguistic analysis demonstrated capabilities beyond typical volunteer language assistance." "Elena," said FBI agent Lisa Torres, who had been called in for the potential terrorism investigation, "your linguistic analysis and cultural interpretation are exceptional. You provided systematic language assessment with professional precision that suggests specialized training. What's your background in foreign language intelligence?" Elena hesitated, the way she always did when people asked about her linguistic capabilities. "Some experience with language translation and cultural communication. I take international student support seriously." But Agent Torres, who had extensive experience with military intelligence professionals, recognized that Elena's performance suggested specialized training. "Elena, What you provided was intelligence-level linguistic analysis. Your translation accuracy and cultural assessment indicate advanced training in foreign language intelligence. Are you former military intelligence? The conversation that followed revealed Elena's military intelligence experience and her reasons for choosing library volunteering over careers that would more obviously use her linguistic expertise. Agent Torres, I spent 15 years as a military intelligence linguist conducting interrogations and intelligence gathering in 8 languages. I retired and chose library volunteering because I wanted to use language skills to help students rather than extract information for intelligence purposes. Agent Torres understood immediately why Elena's linguistic analysis had been so professional and accurate. Sergeant Vasquez, military intelligence linguist training is among the most advanced language and cultural education available. Your expertise prevented an innocent student from facing false terrorism charges. The campus security incident that Elena had resolved became the catalyst for conversations about how her military intelligence training could benefit international student services and cultural communication throughout the university system. Dmitri Petrov was immediately released and his academic status restored, largely due to the accurate linguistic interpretation that Elena's expertise had provided during the critical misunderstanding. Elena, said University International Services Director Dr. Michael Kim during a meeting the following week, your response to the language incident was extraordinary, and I've learned about your military intelligence background. Would you consider working with our international services as a consultant for cross-cultural communication and language assistance? Elena was initially reluctant to take on responsibilities that reminded her of intelligence operations, but the international services consulting position offered a compromise between using her expertise and maintaining the peaceful library work that had been essential for her transition from military service. Dr. Kim, I chose library volunteering specifically to step away from intelligence work. Elena, this wouldn't be military intelligence. We need someone to develop cross-cultural communication protocols and train staff in advanced language assistance for international student success. Elena accepted the position as international communication consultant while continuing her library volunteering at Metropolitan University. The combination allowed her to use her military intelligence linguistic expertise to improve international student support throughout the university system while maintaining the direct student assistance that provided meaning and satisfaction. Elena's cross-cultural communication protocols for University International Services emphasized practical language techniques that enhanced student success without creating surveillance concerns or restricting cultural expression. Her training sessions taught faculty, staff, and student services personnel how to improve cross-cultural communication while maintaining university environments that supported international student integration and academic achievement. The goal, Elena explained to university staff during one of her training sessions, is creating academic environments that welcome and support students from all cultures. Good language assistance should enhance international student success rather than create barriers or misunderstandings. Elena's work with University International Services led to her developing protocols that were adopted by universities throughout the state, improving cross-cultural communication and international student support for thousands of students who required language assistance and cultural adaptation for academic success. 6 months after resolving Dmitri's detention, Elena received recognition from both the National Association of International Educators and the Military Intelligence Professional Association for developing civilian applications of military linguistic training for international education and cross-cultural communication. But the recognition that meant the most to Elena came from international students and families who had benefited from the communication protocols she had implemented. Elena, said Dmitri Petrov when he graduated with honors in computer science, you saved my academic career and helped me understand American university culture. Your language assistance made all the difference in my educational success. Dmitri, I'm just glad you achieved your academic goals and that your family can be proud of your educational accomplishments. Cross-cultural communication is about helping international students succeed while maintaining their cultural identity. Elena realized that Dmitri's gratitude reflected exactly the kind of meaningful work she had hoped to find after leaving military intelligence, using her linguistic expertise to help students succeed academically while enabling them to maintain cultural connections and achieve educational dreams. A year after the campus security incident that revealed her background, Elena had become the region's leading expert in international student communication and was regularly invited to speak at educational conferences and cross-cultural communication events about applying military linguistic training to civilian international education. Her presentation at the National International Education Conference focused on the principle that had guided her approach to student communication. Military intelligence linguistic training provides systematic approaches to cross-cultural communication that can dramatically improve international student success when adapted appropriately for educational environments. 2 years after helping Dmitri Petrov, Elena continued volunteering at Metropolitan University Library while also serving as international communication consultant for the entire university system and trainer for educational institutions throughout the region. Her story was featured in military publications as an example of how intelligence skills could be applied to international education, inspiring other military intelligence linguists to consider careers that use their expertise to benefit international students and cross-cultural communication. Today, Elena Vasquez continues volunteering at Metropolitan University Library while also consulting with educational institutions throughout the region. She still arrives every afternoon at 2 p.m., still manages student assistance with systematic attention to cultural sensitivity, and still treats international student success as a serious professional responsibility. But she also develops communication protocols that help international students succeed academically, trains educational staff in advanced cross-cultural communication techniques, and coordinates with international services to ensure that universities provide supportive environments for students from all cultural backgrounds. The library where Elena helped resolve Dmitri's misunderstanding displays a small plaque that reads, "Celebrating International Education and Cross-Cultural Understanding." Elena requested that the recognition honor cultural diversity rather than individual linguistic abilities. Elena's story reminds us that military intelligence linguistic expertise doesn't diminish when applied to civilian education, it enhances. That intelligence language training can improve international student success just as effectively as it supports military operations. That the same linguistic skills used for intelligence gathering can be used to help international students achieve academic dreams and cultural integration. The next time you visit a university library, remember Elena Vasquez. Remember that the volunteers serving international students might have linguistic experience gained in conditions and situations you can't imagine. Remember that they might have chosen educational volunteering not because they lack other qualifications, but because they found meaningful ways to apply extraordinary skills to serve students from around the world. Sometimes the most important intelligence operations happen not in classified facilities or foreign countries, but in university libraries where former military intelligence linguists choose to use their expertise to ensure that international students can achieve academic success regardless of their native language or cultural background. Sometimes the greatest linguistic expertise belongs to people providing educational support rather than conducting intelligence operations, people who've chosen to apply military intelligence training to civilian international education, ensuring that skills developed for intelligence gathering can be used to help students during academic challenges and cultural adaptation. We need to recognize and appreciate the skilled linguistic professionals among us who've chosen to serve quietly, especially those whose previous service required extracting information in hostile environments so that international students could safely pursue educational opportunities in peaceful academic settings. Because true linguistic expertise doesn't disappear when military service ends, it just finds new applications. And sometimes the most valuable intelligence training involves not classified operations or interrogations, but educational support that ensures the systematic language skills developed for military intelligence can be used to help international students succeed academically and strengthen communities through excellent cross-cultural communication that creates understanding during cultural exchanges and gives students from around the world the opportunity to achieve their educational dreams.